our focus is on college and career readiness. Our hope and my desire is to see 100% of our students get into the place of their choice, whatever that post-secondary opportunity is. And we hold that piece very dear to us. So again, I thank you for being here. Anything you need, these awesome staff members are here to make sure to support you with. And we're all but a phone call and email away. I always say it here, we're all ladies here, so school mamas are here to make sure that your children get into school and through college. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. WorkStudy. She oversees the counselors, and she put this together. Let's give her an applause. Thank her for being here.
Good evening and welcome. We are really glad to have you tonight. I want to make it very, very clear that it takes a lot of people to put an event on. And Dr. Anderson, thank you for being here. She has a very busy schedule and made time to be here. I think that tells you how wonderful she really is. We have a lot of people here this evening that are not employees of Topeka Public Schools. Washburn University is one of our partners. The Kansas Board of Regents is here this evening. KU Educational Opportunity Center is here this evening. And all of these individuals support Topeka Public Schools. And they are a partner with us. They do a lot in our schools for our kids. So I would like to thank them for being here and taking the time, and they will be speaking a little bit later. I also have my high school crew of counselors here. I want all my counselors to raise their hands. Some of them are working. They're all kind of around the room. Thank you guys for being here. I know it makes a long day, but you're pretty dedicated. And then we'll also hear from Pam. Pam is here tonight, Johnson Betts, and she'll talk about the Topeka Public Schools Foundation. And we'll give you an indication of how to apply for those scholarships. So she'll be talking to you as well. Without further ado, Pam Johnson Betts is next up.
Good evening. I am so excited to be here because we're from the foundation. It's Topeka Public Schools Foundation. Our sole job is to support Topeka Public Schools, staff, and families. And I am executive director of a very small foundation that people continually get confused with the Topeka Community Foundation. But please know, we have our own public schools education foundation. As part of that, we give out scholarships annually. And for a number of years before Sue came, I kind of felt concerned that we couldn't get that word out enough. So to see this room packed this evening is just beyond thrilling to me because I get to talk a little bit about our scholarships. I'm passing around a paper, and don't everyone take one. Take one per family so that the people in the back can get one. But we'll get other information out to you if you don't get it in the back. But right now, we have 6 scholarships that I want you to know about. Because for a number of years, some of these scholarships nobody applied for. Ours is the most simple application that you're going to probably find through your process of trying to get to higher education. So we encourage you to apply for them. And some are specifically for a school, Topeka West, Topeka High School. Some they want for Highland Park High. Some, all of you can apply, and we just go through a competitive process. And that process, again, is not very rigorous. If you want money, some of these scholarships are small, but I don't know about you all. But when I went to school, anything helped. If I just got book money, it was really appreciated because I didn't come from a family with a lot of means, but certainly to be able to get a few dollars is wonderful. One of these scholarships, however, is renewable all 4 years, and that is a wonderful thing. If you're able to keep your grades up, and I think it's only a 2.8 that they're asking, I apologize, I didn't look at it right before I came, then you'll continue to get money all 4 years that you're in high school, and you let us know about it. At the bottom of this paper, I talk about how you're able to go online and get an application. Most of the applications are due in March. We have one that's due in April. So please, please, please think of us as you're going out trying to find money for your student, or if you're doing it yourself, know that it's not that difficult, and we encourage, again, you're applying. So it's on the Topeka Public Schools website. We're under Foundation, Resources, and then you'll find scholarships, and there's a number of them. While I'm only listing 6 here, please check in, go to that website, because many times there are additional people that give money for scholarship dollars. So while 6 are listed here, there could be anywhere from 6 to 10 by the time you get ready to apply. So check frequently. I try to keep it updated to make sure that you're aware that a new scholarship has come online. But anyway, it's my pleasure to be here this evening. I'm not going to take a lot of time because there's other things for you to do, but just that you know that there's a Topeka Public Schools Foundation and that there are applications out there available for you to get monies, please apply. Thank you.
So many scholarships per year never get given to anybody because people don't apply. And students also shy away from those scholarships that have an essay to them. You have a better chance of getting a scholarship that has an essay because there's less applicants. So don't shy away from those and do apply. And there's also a misnomer that a lot of students think if I'm not a 4.0, I'm not going to get any scholarships. And there are scholarships for all GPAs and all types of students. So if you do have questions, please ask your counselors. Next up, we have Diane Lindeman. Diane is with the Kansas Board of Regents, and she's going to talk to us this evening about the Kansas Board of Regents programs.
As I was sitting here, I was thinking, boy, I hope I'm tall enough to be over this podium because I'm pretty short, so it worked out okay. I'm really glad to see all of you here this evening. This is a great turnout. I know that you have very busy lives and a lot going on, so we really appreciate that you've taken time out. This is a very important night for you to hear about all the options that are available to your students for financial aid, and you have a lot of great people here that are going to help you with that. I wanted to just spend a little bit of time talking to you a little bit about state financial aid programs. A lot of people aren't even aware that we have them. Well, there are 16 different student financial aid programs, and we have about $22 million in those programs. And some of them are, there's probably about 11 of them that are for undergraduate students. We have some that are specific to graduate students. We have some that are specific to certain disciplines. So, for example, we have a teacher scholarship for students that are wanting to pursue a teaching profession, or nursing for nursing students. But I wanted to highlight particularly about 5 different ones that I thought that your students might particularly be interested in. The first one, and our largest one, that has $17 million in it, is the Kansas Comprehensive Grant, and it's solely based on financial need. It is not merit, it is purely need. And all that you need to do to apply for that is just to file the FAFSA. And priority deadline is April 1st. Be best, of course, to file it much earlier than that if possible, especially as they're moving through this next year with the changes in the FAFSA deadlines, etc., and students looking at making choices earlier and that kind of thing. The grant is worth $1,500 at a Regents or public institution, which would include Washburn University, and $3,500 at an independent college. The reason for the difference is because the costs are much higher at the independent colleges, although that gap is narrowing as time goes on, and the public institutions are getting pretty expensive as well. We also have the Kansas State Scholarship Program, which is that the students complete the Kansas Scholars Curriculum. So it's a prescribed kind of courses that the students take that they must complete in order to be eligible for it. It is a need and merit scholarship. And the students, the way this works, that in the spring each year, the high school counselors will provide our office with the names of those students that have completed the curriculum and what their 7th semester grade point average is. And we do a formula that determines, based on the amount of allocations, money that we have, and looking at merit particularly, and have a cutoff score to determine what students would be designated scholars. So anyone who actually completes the curriculum would get a certificate from us that verifies to them that they have completed the curriculum, but to be a designated scholar is kind of the merit side of that. So then there's a special letter that they would receive to tell them that they're eligible to go ahead and apply for the scholarship. It's a $1,000 scholarship. It is renewable. Students must maintain a 3-point grade point average to continue to receive that scholarship. We also have a scholarship called the Kansas Ethnic Minority Scholarship. It is also merit and need. The merit criteria is a little bit different. It's a minimum 3-point grade point average, or a completion of the curriculum, or be in the top third of their graduating class. So there are various ways that you can meet that, one or, not all of them. So that's a possibility, and it's also renewable, and it's worth $1,850 per academic year. Kind of a funny amount, I realize. It kind of had to do with a percentage at one time. And as you know, with tightening state budgets, we haven't had a lot of luck in trying to increase the amounts of some of those scholarships. We also have the nursing scholarship. Now, students would need to be accepted into a nursing program, so sometimes that may not happen right away during that first year of school, though with some programs it might, with some of the technical colleges or community colleges. And the students would obtain a sponsor, like a health facility, a hospital, that would be paying for part of that student scholarship. And the service part of that scholarship is working that scholarship off. Otherwise, if you don't, you repay the scholarship if you don't fulfill the service obligation of that, with kind of a high rate of interest, so you don't want to go down that road. The last of the five I want to particularly mention is the Kansas Career Technical Workforce Grant. And this is a $1,000 grant that would be available to students attending technical colleges or community colleges and are pursuing high-demand, critical industry kind of fields, like computer science, like healthcare professions, mechanics. There's a whole realm of different options that are available out there for that as well. And then I wanted to mention that we do have both a paper application. We still do a little old-fashioned work there. We don't have a lot of people using them as much anymore, but we still have the paper application, but we also have the online application, and they're available January 1st. Now, with the change in the FAFSA, moving that up, we decided we wouldn't be moving our deadlines up. We're still having our application materials ready the 1st of January. Our priority deadline is still the 1st of May. And one of the reasons for that is that we are highly dependent on the legislature in our funding. And many times the legislative session doesn't end until, well, if we're lucky, early to mid-May. You know, we had about a year ago when it was into June. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But therefore, it's really hard for us to determine sometimes, and especially in tight budget times when we don't know if we're going to have funding cut, how we're going to manage that. So for us, there would mostly be sort of estimated guesses as to what you would be receiving. So for us, state aid is usually a little bit later. I will mention this. On our state programs, not all of them are on the state application form itself, but most of them are. There is a $12 application fee, which turns a lot of people off. And it had to do with, it originated from a processing when we hired people that needed to help us continue to keep our databases going and keep everything updated. If anyone has an issue with paying that, they can't afford it, whatever it might be, just contact us, we'll work with you on that. That is not a problem. We do not want that to be a barrier whatsoever for anybody to be able to apply. I want to mention our website. It is www. The word Kansas spelled out, Kansas Regents. So it would be the word Kansas, REGENTS, like it's all one word, .org. I also brought a couple of things. I think I'll leave them out at the tables. And one is kind of a little piece that describes all of our state aid programs and goes over some of the requirements and what schools that you can use these programs at and that kind of thing. It's kind of an at-a-glance piece that I think will be helpful. And I have like some business cards that have my phone number and our website and some other things on that that might be helpful too. So I'll leave that at the tables. I think there's a table on both of these entrances, and so that you can have that.
And can you repeat that website?
Yes.
You're asking, you repeat it one more time?
Yeah.
Everything is being videotaped, so if you miss something on our cable channel and on our webpage, it'll also be there. So we're videotaping this as well, but
okay.
If you can repeat
Be
that.
happy to. It's www.kansasregents, again, it's all spelled out as one word, KANSASREGENTS.org. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next speaker, and that is Kimberly Morgan, and she is with the Kansas University TRIO programs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Morgan, and I'm the director of the University of Kansas Educational Opportunity Center. If any of you all have ever heard of Upward Bound Math Science Center, Talent Search, then our program is a sister program of those programs. Upward Bound Talent Search serves low-income first-generation students And the goal of those programs is to increase the number of students that enroll in post-secondary education after they've graduated from high school. Post-secondary education being a technical school, vocational school, a 2-year institution, or a university. Well, our program works with adults in the same way. We are here to increase the number of adults that are enrolled in post-secondary education. And we're also fortunate enough to be able to serve the seniors in high schools in Shawnee County. So what services do we provide? We provide financial aid assistance. We're going to be here, and we're also going to be in different schools here in Shawnee County assisting with completing the FSA ID and the FAFSA. We assist people with completing the college applications. We provide educational workshops in some of your schools. And we're also working closely with Sue Grosadier and her team and providing college tours to different places in the surrounding area. We just had a successful college tour to KU. I want to make sure everyone understands that our program is housed through KU, but we don't recruit for KU. Again, any school that a person is looking to go to, we will assist them in trying to direct them to the avenues to go there. Again, a 2-year institution is a vocational technical school, a community college, or a university. We serve 1,000 clients a year in Shawnee, Douglas, and Wyandotte County. And I just wanted to keep it really short for now. So I'm going to have some business cards in the back on the table. So if anyone has any questions or wants to call me, then I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks for having me here tonight.
As you can see, it takes a lot of people to get the job done. Next, I have Jamie McCune, and she is with Washburn University and will be presenting on the actual financial aid. One thing I do want to tell you, a lot of times you have personal situations that you do not like to ask questions in front of a big group. All of these professionals will be available afterwards to answer individual questions. Turn it over to Jamie.
Hello. My name is Jamie McEwen, and I am I just changed titles on October 1st. So I was the Student Employment Coordinator at Washburn University, but now I am the Financial Literacy person at Washburn University. So I've been there about 20 years, and we're going to talk about some programs tonight. Though I'm from Washburn, we're going to talk about things that are good wherever your student's going to go to school. It's not just about Washburn, though we welcome you with open arms at Washburn. We are also good wherever they're going to school, whether it's Harvard, UCLA, or anywhere in between. So we're just going to kind of get right into it. Financial aid is any resource that you use to pay for college. So it could be the federal programs, which is what I'm going to spend the most time on tonight, the state programs, which Diane just went over with you, and scholarships, yay, free money, we all like that, and then other resources, that could be veterans benefits or family, right? So any of those resources are considered financial aid. Have you all been out looking at schools yet? Yes? Yes? Have you been looking at those priority deadlines? Every school has priority deadlines, and like KU and K-State have a couple coming up soon, November 1, about their scholarship applications. Those are ones you need to know about. But all schools have priority deadlines, and the reason they have them is because there's limited funds. Some of the schools and some of our programs have limited funds. So you're in, you're out. That's one of the deadline. That's what they want it for. So you need to know. What did I do? I'll talk loud. So you need to know what that priority deadline is. The priority deadline is something that if you're looking at more than one school, you've got to keep track of all those priority deadlines. So, I'm not used to having all the fancy stuff. Scholarships, right? We all want to talk about scholarships.
I think it came back on.
Did it come back? Oh, okay. Scholarships. We all want to talk about scholarships because we do like that free money. So the number one place that you want to talk to find scholarships is your high school counselor. They are the ones that are going to know what is good for your high school. They're going to know scholarships that are only for your high school. So you want to huddle up with your high school counselor. That's your number one stop. And then there'll be academic scholarships at a lot of the universities. Your students' hard work on grades, ACT, SATs, they are finally paying off in cash. So you want to check out academics. Departments, if your student knows they want to be a nurse or criminal justice or something like that, that they know what they want to do, you want to talk to those departments and say, hey, are there scholarships available? Now, a lot of times, our students can't get scholarships until they're actually in the program. So they won't be until their junior or senior year. But you want to know about those scholarships because you need to know what kind of GPA maybe they need to hit, where their marks need to be to get into those dollars. Activity. Anybody have kids in band? That's what I always think of, right? Band, activity. Those can pay off in scholarships, so check out the schools. And then I think we all understand about athletic scholarships. I hope you're all wonderful athletes and are getting lots of money for it. So that's great. And then we get into where we start working for ourselves, the off-campus scholarships. You want to, this is what I always tell people, leave no stone unturned. When it comes to scholarships, you ask your neighbor if their kid went to school where yours is going to go, they get a scholarship, how'd they get that scholarship? Can my student get that scholarship? You want to constantly be talking about scholarships. So check with your churches, check with your civic organizations, the Kiwanis, the Optimists, and then of course your employers. And don't forget your students, if they're working, their employers. You know, McDonald's has a scholarship program, so check out everywhere. And then my last one is check the internet. I've given you Washburn's link to our scholarship searches. They're the same scholarship searches you're going to find on any university. These are legitimate scholarship searches. The number one thing I want you to understand is never pay money to get a scholarship. It doesn't make sense to pay money. Except the state of Kansas. Yeah, pay $12. And she said she'd waive it, right? Didn't we all hear that? That's what I'm calling. That was news to me tonight. I learned something tonight. I'm telling every high school in Kansas. Tell her I said to call. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, so except for Diane, then you shouldn't pay to get scholarships. So go out. Now, no lie, it's like a part-time job. It is a numbers game. The statistics I've seen say something like 10 scholarships have to be applied for to win one. But it's better than working for your student at $7.25 an hour. It's time well spent. You do need to do, a lot of them are essays. But if you work on your essay and you get someone to, maybe at your high school that can help you, the counselors, get a really good essay going, then you can use that essay for multiple scholarships. Maybe it needs a little tweaking here and there, but you can keep applying. I recommend you set up a email address just for your scholarships. So go out and set up a Gmail or Yahoo, wherever you want, and have those scholarships come in there. You're going to go out there, they're going to ask you all kinds of questions about your family, about your involvements, not about your family, about your student, how they're involved, their interests, their ethnicity, everything. They're going to left-handed, right-handed, because believe it or not, there's scholarships for left-handed people. So there are, yeah, finally that pays off. So you want to go out and then they're going to start sending you emails. So they're going to say, hey, Susie Q might be eligible for this scholarship. And that's where you're going to start going through and start applying. So I recommend you get out there and work towards it. Has anybody gone out and got a financial aid ID yet? Yes? Some of you, a little bit. Who needs an ID? Anybody know? Who needs one? You do. She does. The student needs an ID, and then one of the parents, whatever parent, if both parents are married, then the parent, one of them need an ID. If they're divorced, the parent that's going to be on the FAFSA needs an ID. So you need to go out and get an ID. This is the website. So if you haven't done it yet, now guys, my whole presentation is in the blue packets you've got. So you're going to get all this in your packet. So you'll know what the ID site looks like. And we can help them tonight to do the IDs. We have some computers. So if you haven't done it yet, stick around after the presentations and we can help you at least get your ID going or work on your FAFSA. Now, I'm not good at stuff. There's more links down here. And those are the links you're going to use. Okay? So, oh, I didn't say it yet, but I'm going to ask you. What does FAFSA stand for? Who knows what FAFSA stands for? Boy, that is like... What is that first F? That's the most important one. What's that first one? Free! Free! Free application for federal student aid. That sounds so good, I'm going to say it again. Free! Free! Because if you Google FAFSA, you know what you come up with? FAFSA.com. Where they charge you, I don't know, 80, 90 bucks for what was it? Free. Free. The free application for federal students. Do not pay for the FAFSA. You can do the FAFSA. It is not hard. Who's filed a FAFSA before? So we got an hour and a half that first time, wouldn't you say? Something like that. The thing is to slow down and read. Just take your time and read it. This is the web page that you're looking for, and it's FAFSA.gov. FAFSA.ed.gov. It's a government site, not a .com. It's so easy when we're putting in things to put .com, because that's what we go to all the time. So be sure and go to this site. If your parents are divorced, which parent do you report on the FAFSA? Such a common question that I put it as part of my presentation. And do you include step parents? So there's a hierarchy of how you determine which parent. If your parents are divorced, the first step is, who did I live with, the student? Who did the student live with the most in the last 12 months? If it's truly 6 months, 6 months, then the second hierarchy is who gave the most financial support to that student during the last 12 months. If you say, wow, you know, Jamie, we're really good, we're 50-50, it may be the health care insurance who's carried it that tips that scale. But that's how you determine it. It is not who claimed them on their taxes. Because divorce courts can say, dad gets them odd years, mom gets them even years, or 2 to this one and 1 to that. They can override the IRS code. So you always look, who did you live with the most, and then who gave the most support. Once you pick that parent, if they are remarried, that step parent is included on the FAFSA. The Department of Ed sees that family unit as the financial resources for the student. So you would include the step parent. It is never ever grandparent, foster parent, or legal guardian. It is only biological parents or legally adopted. Now there's other ways of handling it. If this child is in those situations, they have lots of other ways to handle it. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. A student is always either dependent or independent. And for the most part, people in this room, your students are going to be dependent. Students are dependent until they're 24 on the FAFSA. I know, it's a killer, isn't it? I know. Did I mention I have 3 kids? Yeah, I know, it's a killer. 24 on the FAFSA. Or once they get their degree, if they go into a master's program or doctorate program, then they're independent. If they're married, but not divorced. This is kind of weird. We've had kids get married and divorced. They went independent, and then they had to go back to putting their parents on there when they divorced. So that's something. If they have a child of their own that they're supporting, it can't be that the parent is supporting them and their child. They have to be supporting the child themselves, and then it goes on to veteran, and if they have other dependents they support. Then we can help children who are in foster care, who are homeless, who have other extenuating circumstances. We can work with them. Any school can. They can help you with that. And when you fill out the FAFSA, they're going to ask you all those questions to determine, and they will make them independent in those circumstances. When you go out on the FAFSA, it's going to ask you all sorts of questions about your family. It's going to ask you who is living in the family, how many people, how many in college, how much money you make. Going to ask you the age of the older parent. Finally getting older, it pays off, folks. You get a little better deal. But then you're going to go out and they're going to offer you the opportunity to use what we call the IRS data retrieval tool. It's a little link that actually takes you to the IRS website and downloads your information into the FAFSA. I recommend that you use this tool. You know, this year, we're using 2015 taxes, 2 years back. So your taxes, hopefully, are all done for 2015. So you can actually download that information. The reason I recommend you do this is that 30% of all students who apply for financial aid are selected for a process called verification. And verification means the school that they attend has to look at your FAFSA and confirm all the information that you put on it. And they no longer will accept like IRS or TurboTax or accountants. You have to actually have the information from the IRS. So if you do this, then you've got that part already done because it's come directly from the IRS. If not, you have to go out and get a tax transcript from the IRS. So this is just an easier way. You know you got your numbers in the right spot, an easy way to do it. Expected family contribution. You've given all this financial information on the FAFSA, and then you hit the button that says submit. And it comes back with a magic number. It's called your expected family contribution. Expected family contribution is how much money your family is expected to contribute to your college education for the academic year. I'm going to warn you now, I said I had 3 kids. Sometimes this number feels mythical. But that's the number that we have to use. And it's the same number, again, no matter where you go to school, that's the number they use to determine your financial aid eligibility. This is kind of the basic math. We take cost of attendance. Now, cost of attendance is different for every school in the United States. What it costs to go to school, go to school at Washburn is going to be different than Fort Hays. It's going to be different than KU. It's going to be different than Harvard. I always like to bring up Harvard because I think of us as Harvard. So we take that cost of attendance and we subtract the family contribution. And that leaves us with financial need. So at Jamie University, my cost of attendance is 20 grand. My EFC is 5,000. So that leaves me 15,000 that I can fill up with what we call need-based programs. And everything is need-based except one loan program. And I'm going to go over all the programs. So scholarships go in there, grants go in there, all of the good money goes in there. So, Pell Grant. Pell Grant is the biggest grant that we have. It's kind of the backbone of the financial aid system. And it is offered to students with the 5920 is that's a new one. They just came out with that. It's gone up a couple $100. If you have a 0 EFC, which means that they're saying that your family cannot afford to contribute to the cost of college at all, then you can be eligible for up to $5,920. All the numbers I'm giving you tonight, remember, are for the year. So it's half fall, half spring, okay? So 5920, that is if you're taking 12 hours or more. If your EFC goes to 100, that number goes down. And as your EFC goes up, that number goes down. And somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000 EFC, the Pell Grant goes away altogether. So also, at 12 hours, you get the full one. But if they're taking only 9 hours, you take about a fourth off. 6 hours, cut it in half. And at 3 hours, they can get a little bit. But they don't get the full. They have to go 12 hours or more to get this full amount. Teach grant. Teach grant. Ooh, teach grant. Nice big grant, $4,000 a year. Ooh, that looks good. My son wants to be a teacher, and his dream is to teach Arabic in Western Kansas. Because you need a high-need field in a high-need area. Western Kansas, Arabic, right? So your kids out there, and they come to school and they say, Mom, that's what I want to do. So you see that teach grant, and you just sign up. We'll get that grant all 4 years, got $16,000 worth of grant. They head to Western Kansas. They're out there about, I don't know, a year. Mom, I want to come home. And I tell this story story because really and truly 2 years ago at West, that's what somebody told me happened. They, Mom, I want to come home. Well, the problem is your student has to teach a high need field, a high need area for, what is it? 4 academic years within 8 years after completing their course of study. Or, do you know what happens to that teach grant? It's a loan. And it's an unsubsidized loan, which means it's interest. And you know when they start calculating the interest? Not from the day that you get that nice little phone call. You get that from the day they took out the grant, freshman year of college. That interest goes on there. So, here's the thing about Teach Grant. It's a great grant if you know that's what you want to do. We at Washburn don't offer it your freshman and sophomore year because we just feel like you really don't know. How many 18-year-olds are what they think they want to be when they're 18, when they're 23, 24? How many of us have changed our minds? Not everybody, but a lot of us do. So you might want to think about that when you start looking at the Teach Grant. There are 2 campus-based programs. One is called the SEOG, the Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant. That is, what I mean by campus-based is each campus gets a certain amount of money. These are with the limited funds. They get a certain amount of money. And when it's gone, which is why it is so important to file your FAFSA early. Early, because every school I know, they award in date order. October 1, fill them up. October 2, fill them up. We go down. We get to November 15th. Oops, out of that fund. Those people after that, they don't get it because we're out of the money. So it's important to do it early. So there's the opportunity grant. You must be Pell Grant eligible to get that grant. KCG is a limited amount of money. When we run out, we're done. And now there's WorkStudy. WorkStudy is an opportunity for your student to work on a campus. And until 3 days ago, I was the student employment person. I'm going to talk just a minute about students working while in school. Studies show that students who work while they're in college actually do a little better, up to a point. At about 20 hours work a week, the grades start going down. If you think your student can while away a day in high school, wait till they only have classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings till noon. Then they go to lunch. Then they hang out with their friends. Then they go work out. Well, I don't have class tomorrow morning, so I can stay up till 3 a.m., right? And sleep till 11 and get back up and do it again. And I don't know if I'd do any better if I didn't have to work, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. But since I have a job, that helps structure my day, doesn't it? And the job can help structure your student's day. A job on campus is even better. If you are offered federal work study, your student's offered federal work study, I really encourage you to take part of that. There is a 20% higher graduation rate at Washburn and across the whole United States for students who work on campus. It gives them a home. They know what's going on. They've got people who care about them. I have probably 13 kids working for me right now in my office. I ask them every day, how's your classes? How are you feeling? They text me, I'm sick today. Do you need anything? They have someone on that campus that knows what's going on with them. They also have someone that they can go to and say, hey, I've got a huge paper tomorrow. I can't come in. Is that okay? Yeah. You don't get that at McDonald's, do you? Or another place. You got to work your shift. So working on campus is a huge benefit to students. So if you get the work study, take it. Loans. The air kind of goes out of the room when I talk about it. It's not my favorite subject either, but it's a big part of helping pay for school. And it's not a bad thing. It's just something you have to really be honest about and think about and use judiciously. So I want to talk to you for a minute about loans. There are 2 programs of loans. One is the federal Stafford loan, which are the student loans. And there's 2 kinds of Staffords, the subsidized and the unsubsidized. The interest rate on student loans right now is at 3.76%. But you've got to understand that they're taking a 1.068, they take that right off the top. Right off the top. So I always think of it as shipping and handling, right? That's what they do. The PLUS loan is a parent loan. that you'll be able to apply for. And its interest rate is at 6.31%, but they take a whopping 4%, a little over, right off the top. So you have to remember that when you're looking at the loans. What does subsidized mean? Anybody got any idea what subsidized means? Means the government's paying something, like corn subsidies, milk subsidies. In this case, they're paying the interest on the student loan. There is no interest on a subsidized Stafford loan the whole time your student is in college and for their 6-month grace period when they start repaying. So when you get your loan award letter and they've got loans on there, what loan do you start with? Subsidized. Yeah, subsidized. I'd like to hear that a little louder. Subsidized. We want subsidized because that is the best loan you can get. I don't care if it's only $500 and you think, well, we need $2,000. We'll just take the unsubsidized. No. Always start with the subsidized and then whatever you need out of the unsubsidized. Oh, I already told you that. So, here's the amount that student loans that a student can get. Their freshman year, they can get up to $3,500 a subsidized loan. Go back to my Jamie University, and I had $15,000 of need. $3,500 fits in there fine, doesn't it? We got plenty of room for that $3,500. Put some scholarships and other things on there too. Unsubsidized by law, that $2,000 can only be unsubsidized. But what if my EFC, a $20,000 cost of attendance, what if my expected family contribution is $21,000? I have no need. Then that means all this subsidized loan money slides over into unsubsidized. And they will be offered $5,500 still, but it would all be unsubsidized. Bill Gates' kids could get an unsubsidized Stafford loan. I don't think they will. I'm just saying they could. So that is how much your student will be offered. $5,500, that's $27.50 a semester, right? I'm not even going to mess with the 1% off the top because my math's not that good. So $27.50 a semester. Who has looked at the price of tuition at universities and colleges today? Right? $27.50. We are middle of the road at Washburn and we're $273 a credit hour right now. We're middle of the road. You're going to find more expensive in Kansas and less expensive. So 273 times 15 credit hours, because does everybody know how many credit hours it takes to get a degree? 120 to 124. So we like for you to think for a bachelor's degree, we like for you to think about, your students to think about trying to do 15 hours a semester, 30 hours a year, because 4 times 30 is 120. Walla walla, you got your degree, right? So we're trying to do that. So if we go to school 15 hours in a semester, I'm not even going to try to do all the math, but it's, we're getting around 3,800. We're getting $27.50 in loans. Loans will not pay for all of tuition. You have to understand, we haven't bought a tank of gas, and we haven't bought a slice of pizza. So maybe we ought to go revisit those scholarship searches a little more, right? This is where you want to start thinking. So it's time to be really putting pen and paper together and working on that budget for next fall. Because the worst thing I have is when parents come up and they just say, we don't know. We haven't looked at it, we just haven't thought about it, we just decided, and we don't know. So start looking at your budgets. What can your student do? Maybe they're working and saving towards it. What can you contribute? How much can they work? Those kind of things. So you can kind of think about how you're going to pay for school. Oh, you know what? I'm going to tell you one other thing. There's a $31,000 cap on student loans for dependent students to 24. If your student's still working on a bachelor's after the age of 24, first of all, but beyond that, because some will, they can borrow up to, hold on to your seats, $57,500 to get a bachelor's degree. Don't do it. All right. Now, parent loans. Parent loans can be the difference between your student's financial aid package and the cost of attendance. So back to Jamie University, for $20,000 cost of attendance, you've got a $5,000 EFC. So $15,000 of need,
Your student gets that $5,500 of loan, 20,000 minus 5,500, what, 14,500? Am I doing that math right? Your parent loan would be that whole 14,500. The difference between what they've been offered and the cost of attendance. Let's say they got $2,000 of scholarship, then you'd be offered $12,500, right? So that is the amount of loan, and there's no cap on that. You can borrow however much you want each year they're in school, up to the cost of attendance. Now, for parent loans, there is a credit check. If you pass the credit check, you get the loan. You don't have to do collateral or anything like that. And then it starts repayment 60 days after the second disbursement. So, first disbursement August, second disbursement January, February, March, your loan payments start. You can defer while you're in school, while the student's in school, but the interest is accruing and capitalizing. And there's a term you need to teach your students. Capitalizing. Parents, if we've ever borrowed money, we know what that means, right? So it's growing. So understand that you can borrow it, it can be a resource, but you want to be judicious about borrowing. Now, I added this a couple of years ago because parents need to understand that there are ways that they can help their student not lose their financial aid. And there are ways that that happens. Oh, I didn't put in the screens. Okay, there's 3 ways. One is GPA. Cumulative GPA. Y'all understand what that means, right? You take all your grades together. If it starts dropping below a 2, what's the letter grade for 2? C. That's right. If it starts dropping below a C average, they're going to run into problems with their financial aid. The other thing is hours, how many hours they have total. So when they get to 155 credit hours, how many did I say that makes to get a degree? Around 120? You get to 155 credit hours, and Department of Ed makes us go, whoa, what are you doing? Right? And you think, Jamie, how can you get to 155 credit hours and not have a degree? We had a student, no lie, last fall, she came in with 210 credit hours and no degree. You think, how can she do that? Well, you change schools a bunch, you change majors, you get D's. Can D's get to a degree? They won't count. So it can happen. Hopefully none of your students face that, but I want you to know that's out there. And then the third way, which is the easiest way for students to run into problems, is PACE. And PACE is you have to complete 67% of all classes they've ever taken. 67%. And it's really easy that first semester because that's a hard semester for students. That's a big transition. It's not high school the 5th year. It's college and it's different. And so students will get into classes and they think their skills in math are here and they find out they're here. Or they think their skills, I always bring up these because I couldn't do chemistry. They think they're here, mine would be here. So, and they drop, which is a reasonable thing to do. They say, hey, you know what, this is just too hard. You get those phone calls, mom. You know, right? And so they drop and they're down there at 6 hours. Is that 67% of 12? No. And now, so they've hit PACE. Now, every school, every student gets a get out of jail free card, 1 semester, no problem. Hey, you've dropped or you've hit PACE or your GPA is not where it should be. Just go forth. Don't do that again, right? But if you do a second and a third semester, there's going to be repercussions of their financial aid. And it can get to the point where they're denied aid until they show us that they can go to school and do the work. That is not a Washburn rule or a K. That is a federal rule. So no matter where they go, they have to stand up to those. And the last thing is FERPA. Y'all know when you go to the doctor's office and you have to sign the HIPAA? Really? Who can see your record? Well, FERPA is the educational part of it. And FERPA says that once your student's bottom hits that seat, the first day of classes, we can no longer talk to you about them. So right now, if you called up to school and said, hey, what's Susie Q's math grade? How'd she do on her test? Did she show up for class yesterday? They talk to you. But once that happens in college, we can no longer talk to you unless you ask your student to sign something that allows us to discuss it with you. And this includes the bill even if you're paying the bill. So understand that happens. Parents get mad at us a lot about this, so I thought I'd bring it up. So, remember, FAFSA Fun happens every year. Every year you get to do this. October 1st, so it's open. Has anybody been out there applying? I hope so. Some of you, yeah. And remember those school priority dates. Those are super important, and they may be dates that you need to remember the whole time you're in college, so help them with that. I will be here as long as people have questions about financial aid. I've got other people from Washburn to help as well, so you don't have to just line up for me. So come and talk to me. If you are a non-citizen, if you're not a U.S. citizen, we have ways to help you. So I don't want anyone to think that if they don't have U.S. citizenship, that we can't help. There are things to talk about there too. So please come and see us after this presentation, and we'll help with anyone.
Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And again, I would really like to thank you for coming. Your high school counselors can help by answering questions.